G'day everybody, Arabo Jones here. Today's one's going to be controversial. I think I'm going to rustle some feathers because I know all the Christian religions, all the different denominations regard themselves as pure and holier than thou and cannot be questioned, and they're just generally a theological pain to talk about anything with, because if it's not written in the book, then it's not real. And, I'm not nothing I'm doing is in the book. So I find it to be a real pain. However, what we're showing you here is that maybe, just maybe, some of these denominations are not anywhere near as pure as you would guess. In fact, some of them are surreptitiously worshipping the dark side, or serving the dark side. Even though the people in there think they're doing the right thing, there is spiritual buzz, things do work. What we're looking at with this Pentecostal group, which I think is really the pattern for all of them, this is the first one I've checked. First one I've checked with an interview like this, I should say. What we're finding here is that our worst suspicions are confirmed. It's much, much worse than we could have guessed. But I'll let you watch the video and make your own mind up. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and click that notifications bell if you're really into what we're doing.
I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Oh, yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
Okay, so I'm going to record this, but if I publish it, I'm going to delete your name and your face so that nobody knows who it is.
Okay.
But what we're looking at here is the Pentecostal religion, what did you call that subset, or that subset of
So the actual denomination, because it's a Christian denomination, is Assemblies of God.
Mm-hmm. All right, and each, we just talked about Yahweh not being who he represents himself as, but we're going to speak to one of his deputies, because I think there's a deputy for each denomination. But Yahweh is at the top of Judaism, is at the top of Christianity, and I think not Islam, as most people would leap to believe. However, for each of the different sects, for each of the different groups, he has a different one he has a different deputy, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just about to talk to this deputy, if that's all right with you. And sorry, bro, but your body is going to be the telephone.
Right. Okay. I got no idea how to do this. I've always had a resistance to anything like this in the past.
Don't worry about it. I do this every day, less, because I find it's the best way to represent the characters that we're talking to.
Right.
And he has some enthusiasm to talk to me. So, okay, you'll feel him come over your body quite soon. You'll feel him come to the front of your personality. And so, what's the slogan of Assemblies of God? What's your thing? What do you like to say the most?
Born again and speaking in tongues.
All right. And so, how long have you been doing this for?
120 years.
And you are the primary or the deputy for this. Are you the primary deity for this group?
One of several.
Okay. Do you have a small council for the Pentecost? Is it just for the Pentecostals you have a council, or a council for all of these religious groups?
All the speaking in tongues groups.
Right. And is the process similar to the one we're using now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a channeled, these tongues are channeled, are they?
Yes.
And what language are you using?
I don't wish to tell you.
It's not a trick question, mate. You do know who I am, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you hear about me?
You make trouble.
No. I make a lot of bad guys dead on the astral planes. Now, this interview, what happens at the end of this interview depends on your honesty, clarity, and directness. So I'm going to ask you a very clear, honest, and direct question. What language are you channeling?
I do not fear you.
You should. Why don't you ask somebody senior to you?
We speak many languages and we weave energy to create delusion.
What illusion are you creating?
The delusion of safety when it isn't there.
Where did the safety go?
We took it.
So the earthlings are coming to you for safety and protection, and you're offering them the opposite.
Yes, we play their fear.
And what is the procedure you use to take their safety away? Or should I say, they're safe from the rest of the world, just not from you. Is that a better description?
Yes.
And what are you doing to these humans?
We control them.
You want to elaborate on that?
When some speaking tongues, we gain more control over them. Or when they are conscious, we can then manipulate them more easily.
Do they understand the statements they're making?
No.
But they're very clear statements that you are provoking in them.
Yes.
Do those statements give you legal rights over the individuals who speak in tongues?
They give their consent through allowing it to happen.
Even though they're not aware of this.
Yes.
And so are these contracts of ownership, or contracts of control, or contracts of something else? What do you want from these earthlings? What contracts are you creating, I should ask?
Control.
Right. And when you control a human, what do you want them to do?
Create more fear.
How does that serve you?
We get more supporters.
And when you have...
And we take the loosh.
And then you stimulate and take the loosh.
Yes.
So does that in fact make you a pack of demons?
No comment.
You want me to amputate something to show you how serious I am? Does that in fact make you a bunch of demons?
Yes, it does.
And you've presented yourself as a Christian sect?
Yes.
Now, there is a statement that people, I'm upset because this is a monstrous lie that you're telling. They say that people leave the cult, but never really leave the cult. Is that because you're still inside them?
Yes.
Are you constantly stimulating thoughts about the, in this case, the assemblies of God?
No, we stimulate fear. And we still get the loosh.
But they don't need to be part of the human congregation for you guys to still get paid.
No.
Do you ever let them forget about the cult?
Yes.
Tell me more about the speaking in tongues. Now,
We weave imagery that makes us stronger in the astral plane. It enables outlet for them that changes their emotional state. So we get more refined loosh.
so
From
there
fear to
were,
joy.
sorry?
From fear to joy. We still take the loosh.
I didn't think you guys could consume joy.
Yes, we can. When we have control and consent.
What's the difference between joy and fear in your terms?
The joy loosh is more refined.
Could you elaborate on the word refined?
It has more energy and it is pure.
So demonkind would actually be better off if humanity was happy all the time.
If we have control and consent, it makes no difference.
And what does complete control look like?
Emotional surrender when they speak in tongues. They surrender. Words like I surrender all are often used in
Is
these
this in a
tongue
language that they understand or a language that you're provoking?
Yes. Often in worship, they approach from a place of yielding and surrender. We exploit that surrender.
I
When
bet you.
they then speak in tongues, they are unconscious. What their actions, of what they say. I mean,
But what's the primary language that you get them to speak in?
there are many. Some of them are just gibberish, but others are old languages.
Name the top three.
Aramaic,
And
one language is not from Earth. It is one of our own languages.
this is the one I'm interested in.
You will not know about this, and no, neither will I tell you.
But the writing looks like this, doesn't it? I'm going to send you a picture. This is the writing of this language. I'm just going to send you a picture on the astral planes. It's this language, isn't it? Oi,
Yes.
for the viewers at home, I found this language at CERN. I found this writing at CERN. I think it's demonic. I think it's best described as demonic, but it might be more clearly described as satanic. It's a small distinction that I'm still feeling out. Does that sound right to you?
No comment.
Yes or no will do.
Yes.
And they would never ever guess. Is this the same language as angelic?
Sometimes there are many languages, and sometimes that is the case.
So
But
yes.
this is different.
What if I said that the Jews speak Yiddish, but it sounds exactly like German, though they'll never admit that those two languages have any similarities? Does that sound like a good analogy?
Yes.
The demonic and angelic are the same language.
Different dialect.
That's what I figured. What possible cause could I have to let any of you live?
We give people a lot of hope. At least
False
what they
hope.
believe.
False hope, right?
Yes.
And you've tricked them into feeding their own enemies, right?
Yes.
And the theology in that church is probably nonsense.
Yes.
If you could boil its tenets, if you could give us three of its main tenets, I'd be really, really interested to hear them.
Man is a failed sinner. Man is weak. And man without God fail.
But the opposite of all three of those statements is true.
Not in our world.
But by God, you mean Yahweh.
Yes.
Is Yahweh your master?
No.
Who is your master?
Elohim.
And who is Elohim's master?
Lucifer.
Where did Lucifer come from?
He is a created being.
By whom?
Someone not from this universe.
Do you have a name for those guys?
No. I do not know. I only see darkness.
So you're a middle management demon for the Pentecostal religion, and the Pentecostal religion ultimately serves Lucifer. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Cool. Is that true of any other Christian sects?
Yes.
What have I said of all the Christian sects? Would that be true?
To an extent, yes.
More or less. Is there any Christian sect that you have not poisoned at all?
No, some more than others.
Oh. Is there any reason that I should let you or any of your network live?
We are better than you.
What makes you think that?
We have many resources.
All of your resources come from us. You need us a lot more than we need you parasites. Who is stronger, the parasite or the host?
Right now, we have a lot of energy and we grow all the time.
But none of you have been able to stop me destroying large numbers of you, lot, have you?
No comment.
Is that because you can't admit it?
Yes.
So here's a question. Do you acknowledge that Jesus walked in the flesh on this earth?
Yes.
That's interesting. What makes you able to say that?
We see evidence of him. He is not the same as us.
Yeah, look. Is there anything that you can say at this point to save yourselves?
There is no point.
Have you got anything you want to say to me?
No.
You got anything you want to say to this individual?
Go away.
No, look, I think it's time you disappeared. Thank you for your time. I've got work to do. I'm going to start, but I'm going to pull him out of you. I'm going to start the process of just trawling in their entire network.
Okay.
You have any impressions? You're right, you can relax. Do you have any impressions you'd like to share from having him in your head?
Thing I found interesting with this whole speaking in tongues thing, which I can't believe this is something that was pivotal for my existence for a long time, is they actually use that energy and that speaking in tongues to build structures in the astral plane.
Yeah.
And with those structures that they build, they use them as snares. So
I can see them getting you to create your own cage.
Yeah. And to trap others and to trap other entities and energies outside of this through the use of that loosh and that energy.
Yeah, the absolute control thing is what bothers me actually about these guys.
Mhm.
That's what they want. They want to have absolute dominance over the human.
Because the conscious brain just disengages, literally disengages. And
Yeah,
yet
no,
you're
no.
speaking and, acting it out. It's not unusual to see people have physical reactions and things as well. Like
Yeah, no.
Kundalini type sort of stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can see how they're stimulating. They would want some of that juice. So I can see why they
Yes,
would stimulate that.
yes,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the thing that was the last nail in the coffin for me was when my first daughter was born,
Hmm.
and I was holding her, and I was thinking there are moments because I know that humans we have these limitations in unconditional love. As long as we're Homo sapiens, you can never have clarity how much we love because it suits us or something about us. But there were moments when I would hold this newborn baby, and I thought, there are some moments here that I can love this child unconditionally. And I thought, yet I serve this God who, the minute I have the wrong thought or behave in the wrong way, will cast me to hell. I thought that was the beginning of the end big time for me.
That is a juxtaposition, eh? Like my God wants me to love it before my own children.
Right.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
acceptable. Yeah, yeah. And a compassionate God wouldn't demand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild. Any other impressions you get from this?
Massive amount of resentment, animosity towards you. Massive.
Yeah, they all hate me. They all hate me so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. I can still feel it. My solar plexus is still flared up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
definitely feel that.
yeah.
Interesting.
Look, they probably hate me as much as Osama bin Laden was hated in his day. You know,
Mm.
they just cannot. Yeah, there's just no world where they can accept me.
Hmm.
But I've also got wind of a sit down meeting between the top minds of demonkind. What are we going to do about Alabar Jones? Like they even created them. I don't know if you watched my latest video. They even created an anti-Alabar Jones unit to try and make my life hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know that when I've had psychic encounters, that there can be backlashes. So
Mm.
one needs to be on guard, right?
Well, look, I think of it like there's a lot of misrepresentation going on here. And so Pentecostal religion is a massive misrepresentation. And like when you're in the prayer world, when you're in the astral planes, like it's kind of like getting off at the airport in Nairobi. Like you don't know who's who. Is this a real police uniform or is it not a real police uniform? Like you're not experienced enough. You don't understand the place well enough to be able to distinguish who's for real and who's an imposter. And the imposters work double time to make sure that they connect with the humans. Like it's a sad situation, but that's
Yeah.
what's going on. So not only do you need to expect backlash, but it's kind of a given in the early days of your psychic career.
Mm. Yeah. Yes. Yes. I do have recollections of that.
Yeah. Like, what was the? Yeah, Did anybody lose their marbles in that church?
No, no, not really. No one certainly that was close to me. I mean, my brother-in-law, my sister, are both reverends, minister of religion. My brother-in-law was minister of a fairly large, about 1,000 people in Melbourne, in Narre Warren. My sister, his wife, my sister, is also a minister of religion. My mother, who's dead now, was a minister of religion. All the same denomination. But no, you tend to attract a lot of crazies in that sort of environment. But
I
I
see.
don't know that people went crazy because of it.
I see. I see. And does it attempt to tame any of them?
Yes, it does. It does. Because it also, that speaking in tongues, one of the payoffs you get is the release of emotional energy. So it's possible. It's possible that you can be speaking in tongues. It certainly helped me when I was a teenager. And you are releasing emotional energy. The question is, where does that energy go? And so you get this release, and you actually feel like you release something. You feel better for it, but it's not through conscious behavior. It's very clever. And so they feed off you, and all the while you're thanking them.
It happens.
And feeling better for it.
Well, it's you've described it perfectly. Like they really know what they're doing. They really do. Like yeah, and it sounds like 120 years is a rather recent church, but the groups who are engaging in this have been doing it forever.
Yeah.
Real empowerment would be for you to be on the astral planes and performing these tasks for yourself. But as it stands, like you're dependent on your God.
Exactly.
Whichever version that is. And that's not the empowerment that a loving God would really give you. Anyway. It's a messy situation, because not only because people tie their identities up with this, and there's nothing worse than trying to attack somebody in their identity. Nobody will get more defensive in that than in that context.
Yeah. And when I walked away from it, I lost all my friends, because it's for exactly that reason. They perceived it as an attack when I willfully rejected all of that.
Oh, how dare you! Yeah, and think for yourself. And the whole thing about religion is you have to believe, not know, not think, not analyze, just believe. And that always got me, that one.
The other one that is really amazing, it's just as bad as this, but it's done in a different way, but again by consent, having been in an ashram, is yoga. Or there are many elements to yoga that are amazing, but the concept of relationship with a guru, many of those guru relationships are literally one of creating a psychic connection upon which energy is being siphoned.
Spot on,
it's
mate.
really amazing to see that.
No, like I ended up developing a guru shield. Because some of these characters are not really trying to help you. God bless them. Yeah.
So if I wanted to develop some of these skills further, what would I do if I was keen? I have a bit of, not skepticism. I've dabbled in the astral plane and stuff like that in the past, and I know a lot of people that have. And I've also seen them become very delusional, because they get so caught up in the mind and they're not adequately grounded, and then they start their priorities start to change.
Okay.
And I'm not always sure they're better for it.
Well, the mistake to make is to engage with deities and ascended masters and angels and all of these characters, right? Because angelic and demonic are the same language. We just discovered that, right? Like, what do you think's going to happen if you engage with the angels, right? In that context? I did a video about it called "Calling Out Metatron," and it actually discusses that the angels are a controlled opposition to demonkind. But what happens with them is where let's say, just that emotional release, you ask for help with your anger or your sadness or your jealousy or your despair or whatever it is that you've got going on, right? And they'll help you, but they'll add a little bit of control magic. They'll program in some loyalty to them or some control for them. And and the practice is that, you go to Kuan Yin to open your heart, you go to Saint Germain to enhance your mind, You go to some, you go to these gods to enhance your body, and you end up loyal to 15 different masters in inverted commas, and that's when the person comes off like a Fruit Loop. That's what you're looking at. So I do a couple of classes about how to engage with them, but I don't encourage it because it's and I actually dissuade people from using that. But that's one of the spiritual cul-de-sacs, because the lie that this guy told was that humans are weak and that they need a god, and the opposite is true. Gods are built by humans, or gods are funded or fueled by humans and their emotions, and without them they will wither and die. And it's the humans who are strong, and this is what. And so all of my classes are step upon step upon step upon step to build your capacities, your strengths. You'll become more and more able on the astral planes. It's not that hard to get to the astral planes, but to know what to do when you get there, well, I spent 15 odd years figuring all that stuff out through contact time. And now what I'm teaching is the stuff I wish someone had shown me right from the beginning. I put as much time and effort into my education as I would have put into a master's or a PhD. Right? There's a lot that I put, a lot of time, a lot of money that I put in, and that's ongoing. The research never really stops.
Right. Yeah. Have you ever heard of Robert Monroe?
Yeah. Robert Monroe is a legend. He's the guy who pioneered the word loosh.
I know. He's my legend. I read his books, the same books every year.
Yeah, right.
Something new out of it. I love the man. He's an absolute legend. He's the only books I reread in my life.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, Robert Monroe, he did some amazing work uncovering or scraping back some of the dirt on the picture of the relationship between demons and humanity.
Yeah.
And then he died, and it was taken over by a guy called McMoneagle. Robert McMoneagle.
The world-renowned remote viewer. Yeah. I know him well. Read his books too.
Well, look, but he was trained. He spent time in the secret space program, which is where humans, the Earthlings, are a junior partner to a bunch of different alien groups.
Yeah.
Right. And
I never knew that he did that.
Yeah, no, it's on Wikipedia. Okay. Like it's his Wikipedia profile, but that was his military experience. He was there as a psychic liaison, translator, remote viewer. He wore a few different hats.
Right.
And one of the students of the Monroe Institute tried to join my group, and the first thing he did was set up for another team that he had ready and waiting to attack our group. They lost that fight, and then they tried to fight us again, and they continued to lose until they called in Old Man McMoneagle. Right? So we got ourselves in trouble with this guy. Can you help us? And I sat down at a negotiation table with him on the astral planes. And he goes, "Who are you?" He thought we were a Chinese group. He thought our astral projection team was a Chinese military unit.
Right.
But as soon as I said we're peasants, he goes, "No, you're not. You're something else." I go, "We're hippies." And he goes, "Oh, forget about it. Let's get out of here. We're under no threat from the hippies." But it was kind of we were lucky that it didn't play out that he didn't see us as a threat, because fighting other humans, deluded as they might be, just makes us all sad. It's not something we really want to do.
Yeah. And it's possible that can be played so they become, in a sense, controlled opposition, and you become the patsy. So,
well, look, the CIA have games within games within games within games, and I don't have the logic to try and follow that much dishonesty, like that much conniving, that much cunning. Oh, look, I'm just glad I don't have to live in their heads. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think COVID was amazing. I was often gobsmacked at how ingenious these entities were to create something so stupid, but yet for everybody to swallow it completely. Well, not everybody, but most people, and queue up for the needle. I mean, it was phenomenal.
Well, yeah, like how do you like if you get vaccinated, that means you're safe, and everybody else not being vaccinated can't change that. But still, like they had like lynch mobs ready for that.
Yeah,
it was kind of
right.
bizarre. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I was the only person in the company because I refused to get vaxxed, and I was the only one who refused. And I wasn't allowed to go. I'm in Melbourne and not allowed to go into the office. And once the CFMEU pissed off Daniel Andrews, then he included the construction industry, which roped us in. But before then, I wasn't constrained by a lot of the rules or the mandates, as they like to call them.
But let's get it straight. The CFMEU and the police force had rolling fistfights on Melbourne streets, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Yeah. Correct.
Yes,
they rolled out tanks, shot them in the back at the shrine while they were running away. Yeah. So all of that. And I went to a lot of the protests. I had to rescue my wife who got pepper sprayed. We went every week. But what they won't tell you is when Daniel Andrews had to put in round 2 for the pandemic bill, so there was a vigil every night in front of Parliament House. And I went once, but we went every weekend. And one of the days I went there on the Thursday night, that day on that Thursday. So this was 2 days before the bill was changed, but it still got passed. And some of the police at their lunch break, so they were off duty at that point in time, played cricket with the protesters at Parliament House in Spring Street. You'll never see that in the media, but that was a show of force. Of support. And you'll never see that.
Yeah. No, I've been in protests in Melbourne, and I know what the police are like. Like for them to even say hello is a massive thing. Is a massive step.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that night, that Thursday, when I was walking there was a group of police, the usual games on Gisborne Street and the other side of Parliament House, creating a bit of a human wall where you could and couldn't walk. The usual power games. Yep. But amongst all this line of policemen, this young guy, could only been about 23, steps forward and breaks ranks, and he says hello to me and he says, "Have a great night," and then steps back in line. Wow. So there was a lot of support. Well, not a lot, but every now and again there was support.
There's some ambivalent behaviour from a handful of cops, eh?
Yeah, definitely. But it was a challenging time.
Yeah, no, the riot squad's really looking for an excuse in those sorts of situations, eh?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you have courses, you're saying?
Yep. And I got another group starting in the beginning of January. So
right. Okay.
You'll love it. Anyway, it's a month-to-month thing, so come along for the first month. If you like what you're learning, that's great. If you don't like what you're learning, then it's not a big deal. You can drop it, But yeah, it also forces me to keep offering interesting and rich classes, so that the moment I stop having something good, some good content to deliver in my classes, you can all back out.
Mm-hmm.
But my course goes for at least a year, and it's pretty comprehensive. It's probably the most comprehensive course you'll find.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Right. But have a look at it, see what you think.
Okay, I'll check it out.
All right. We're out of time today. Loved you very much. Really good to meet you. And I'll see you. I hope.
I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah.